Hey everybody, hope you're doing great wherever you're watching from. It's March 25th, 2026, day 26 of Operation Epic Fury, and the US is pounding Iran's terror machine. American A-10 Warthogs lighting up Iranian-backed Popular Mobilization Forces, which are positioned in Iraq. That classic BRRRRT, the gun runs. This is actual footage right here. So as you can see, the A-10 rolling in, doing what it does best. Looks like a high angle of attack shot there. There's low angle of attack, which they're closer to the ground. This is a higher angle of attack where you're not exposed as much. So an A-10 doing a run like this likely means there's a threat of man pads, small arms fire, so they don't want to be low for a long extended period of time. They get the BRRRRT off. Let's just have a listen to that beautiful sound. Yeah. You don't want to be on the business end of that sound. But the PMF, or the Hashad al-Shaabi, is an umbrella group mostly of Shia paramilitary militias formed in 2014 to fight ISIS. And now they're getting a little wild. They've been getting money, funneled money from the terror proxy network of Iran. They operate inside Iraq and are formally part of the Iraqi armed forces, reporting to the prime minister on paper. But here's the key. In reality, many key factions are heavily Iranian-backed through the IRGC, and they often act independently of full Iraqi government control while still receiving state funding. Interesting, Iraq. It's almost like Iraq has some ties to Iran that they don't really want us to know about. Tehran is still launching missile waves at Israel. This is actually one of them being intercepted. If you look at this footage right here, very impressive seeing that being intercepted. But the amount of missiles that are being launched are going down lower and lower by the day. U.S. forces are keeping the pressure on these proxies that are threatening U.S. forces and Gulf shipping. Basically, the gloves are off, and the US with the A-10 Warthog are like, hey, Iraq, get your PMF forces in line or they're going to be crushed. So that A-10 action is huge. And here's some other breaking news that I think you all should know about. The US is expected to deploy paratroopers to the Middle East as Iran taunts the White House. So rhetoric is still going up. Iran says they will not accept a ceasefire offer from the United States. They're basically saying that the United States is negotiating with itself, which I kind of like this because to me, this shows me that there won't just be some simple off-ramp where Iran can tap along the US like they've done to the whole world for 47 years. So it's like, hey, Iran, you maybe feel like you're being tapped along a little bit. Well, how's it feel? It's a little bit of your own medicine that you've been doing to the world for 47 years while you've been murdering your own people. And oh, by the way, your entire military is decimated. So what's your bargaining position again? So it's kind of funny because Iran's like, how dare you? How dare you not negotiate with us in good faith? It's like, oh, how's it feel, Iran? But stick around because this A-10's got some serious hog love that it's about to send your way. These A-10s are showing the world how America can bring the pain, just like John McClane takes down the bad guys one by one in Die Hard. This is pretty funny because Iran even goes on to say the US is talking to itself, says Iran, as Trump claims wheels of diplomacy are turning. So Iran realizes that the deal that they can make now isn't one that they're probably going to like, but they really don't have the leverage to really get any other deal besides exactly what the US wants. And so President Trump is basically saying hostilities militarily are getting close to the full objectives that need to be achieved. And now at this point, little mini off-ramps, again, art of war, provide off-ramps to your enemy, but I think it's just going to get uglier and uglier on a level that Iran probably is used to doing to other people. So we'll see as this plays out, and I'll keep you posted because there's probably some stuff behind the scenes that are going to change everything at this point. But the straight scoop from the last 12 hours revolves around the A-10 Warthog, flying multiple close air support missions against Iranian-backed Popular Mobilization Forces, or the PMF, also known as Hashd al-Shaabi, positions that are inside of Iraq. The A-10s hit a PMF base and took down a commander's residence near Mosul with devastating strafing runs from that GAU-8 Avenger 30mm cannon. Then they struck the Habayani base in Al-Anbar province, taking out a clinic and work units that the Iraqi Defense Ministry says killed 7 soldiers and wounded 13. These operations are all about neutralizing neutralizing threats to US troops and keeping Gulf shipping lanes open as part of the bigger effort to degrade Iran's proxy network. And then CENTCOM actually posted some recent photos of the A-10. These are A-10s that are doing missions now against fast attack craft. So the A-10 is getting used basically every day. It's kind of like you need a Phillips screwdriver to get the job done. Yeah, well then get a Phillips screwdriver. That's the A-10. You want to strike down proxies, you want to strike down these paramilitary units backed by Iran, and you want to strike down these fast attack craft? Well, here's the perfect platform for you. It's the A-10. Yeah, it's that one that you've tried to get rid of for about 10 years, but it just keeps coming back. The Hogs are also backing up security in the Straits of Hormuz against those IRGC fast attack boats, potentially even the Hogs using APKWS rockets and Mavericks when needed. So not just the gun. If the gun wasn't enough, let's bring in APKWS laser-guided rockets and Mavericks. Meanwhile, the US delivered that 15-point ceasefire proposal to Iran via Pakistan intermediaries for some sanctions relief, probably limited civilian nuclear help, nuclear rollback, with the IAEA eyes on it. Those acronyms that you love. The International Atomic Energy Agency. Missile production limits are likely a part of that, and then guaranteed shipping through the Straits of Hormuz forever, basically. But it's probably some terms that takes away the leverage from the IRGC. And they know that. If they can have that revolver pointed to the head of the world, they might be able to retain their power. So it's kind of like a snowball's chance in hell that they accept that. But it might be their last and final off-ramp. But fresh Iranian missiles have hit central and southern Israel, including residential areas in Tel Aviv. But most of these are getting intercepted now. 90% are getting intercepted. But Iran still has about 1,000, are the reports that I'm seeing. US and Israeli strikes kept hammering IRGC targets around Tehran. Momentum is clearly with the US and Israel, but it's becoming a little painful. Iran knows that. If they can make it a little painful, they can poke the bear. At some point, they think the US will back off and just be like, okay, all right, stop. You can have whatever you want. That's what they think is going to happen. So it's nice to see that, oh, Iran, you tapped around the world for years. Well, now we're going to do the same thing to you until you're either gone or you actually come to the table in good faith on some of these things. But as you can see, the hardliners are just getting more hardlined. But these precision strikes from the A-10 basically remind me of John Wick just walking in, clearing a room and not asking any questions. But Iran has a vote, right? They're still extremely defiant. They flat out rejected the US proposal. They called the talks fake news. A senior military guy, at this point, we just have to call them senior military guys because they're in temp jobs. They said Americans are only negotiating with themselves and that Iran won't bend under duress or deals with folks who have broke previous agreements. Oh, weird. Huh? Iran, are you calling the kettle black? Yeah, we don't negotiate with anyone who's broke previous agreements because we would never do that. We're amazing in the IRGC. Don't look at the fact that we put our headquarters underneath hospitals and schools. That's just a coincidence. That's because the real estate value at those places is just really low and the government's trying to save money. They're keeping their missile and drone barrages going at Israel, Gulf targets, and they're trying to keep the Straits of Hormuz in the most intense lockdown period for US or US-aligned countries. And all this is happening while the MU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, is trucking, not exactly. They're on the water, making their way there, along with what's said to be the 82nd Airborne. Not going to be a good day if these are unleashed on Iran, but it's got to be done smart, right? Because Iran has planned for this. This is the conflict they've planned for and waited on, and they think if they can make this painful enough, the US will back off. Iran keeps swinging, but they're basically trying to score with one hand tied behind their back at this point, or they're on that desperation mode on Tinder where they just swipe right on everybody and they hope they get a good result. Yeah, good luck with that one. But the last few days, A-10s delivering 30mm cannon fire directly on PMF command spots in Mosul and Iraq, turning that PMF into Swiss cheese. Iraqi reports confirm 7 killed, 13 wounded in Anbar strikes. And this is a very interesting point, right? Because Iraq is getting hit by drones from Iran, but then Iraq also has an alignment with the PMF, which is aligned with Iran. So as you can see, lots of shady things going on behind the scenes and kind of just par for the course at this point because the proxy network and the money from Iran goes so deep. $100 million in revenue from those oil tankers. They're going to be doing some shady stuff behind the scenes, paying off officials in Iraq, getting the PMF to seem legit on paper, but behind the scenes, they're just there to do the bidding of the Iranian regime. And the US is saying, we're cutting off your terror networks. So it's all out war with the A-10 going head to head with anybody who's connected to these terror networks and these proxies of Iran. President Trump has said that we've won the war while saying we negotiate with bombs. And then again, Iran is being like, you're tapping us along. And the US is like, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if you come to the table. But let's get to the fun part. American air power doing what it does best. A-10 Warthogs built for exactly this. Low, slow, lethal GAU-8 cannon spitting 30mm depleted uranium rounds at over 3,900 rounds per minute. Those gun runs on PMF bases near Mosul are shredding targets, and that gun can minimize collateral damage while maximizing the effect. The Hogs are also carrying rockets for that Hormuz Strait boat work when the IRGC speedboats get a little frosty and they try to go up against an A-10. Yeah, good luck with that one. Meanwhile, F-15Es are backing them up, dropping GBU-72 massive ordnance penetrators for hardened targets. Those are those 5,000-pound versions of that. You combine these different assets, all these different tactics are textbook. Degrade proxies, keep pressure on IRGC command nodes, and Iranian diplomats, I guess we could call them that, at this point understand that they're not really in the driver's seat, to say the least. I would say the A-10 is probably in the driver's seat. And they're probably realizing that a little bit, but they're doubling down on their rhetoric. These pilots, these A-10 pilots are displaying full American aviator skill. No one else brings this kind of sustained, accurate firepower or the stamina that the A-10 uses to satisfy even the most needy customer. Let's move to the 40 chess strategic analysis section. To me, this is smart power hitting proxies in Iraq to protect US forces and keep shipping safe while staying adhered to the objectives, which is no proxy interference from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the regime. The 15-point plan, it offers Iran a bit of a face-saving off-ramp if they're willing to roll back their nukes and missiles, but at this point, we can see they're just doubling down on hardlined rhetoric. Iran's last-ditch moves, selective targeting through their C2 network, which is still effective at this point, that has to be taken down. The different radars that we can see and targeting imagery that is still looking at the Straits of Hormuz, determining what ship is what. Their whole network trying to potentially lay mines, harass those high-value ships in the Gulf. They're showing that they feel the heat, but they're still dangerous. The US and Israel have decisive actions, degrading the missile forces, sink the Navy, destroy it with A-10s, choke off proxy funding without, hopefully, a full-out ground war. But who knows, maybe Tier 1, Tier 2 units going in and taking specific strategic parts to keep the Straits of Hormuz open. But from a 40 chess perspective, it looks like a great move. Focus on the Straits of Hormuz, get it open, potentially use these top tier units to make that happen, and then have a coalition of countries that are going to back up everybody else and try to help keep the Straits of Hormuz open as well. And then at that point, Tehran might concede a little bit more, but who knows? At that point, they might even just double down even more and go down with the ship. But to me, this is how you can gain some leverage, control the Straits of Hormuz without having to turn the whole region into a parking lot and then put ground forces on that parking lot. But let's talk about a hypothetical situation. Right now, A-10s tearing up Iranian-backed PMF militias with gun runs in Iraq and striking those fast attack craft. But if things escalate even more, those Hogs could easily shift strategically to delivering BRRRRT directly on IRGC, regular forces, command posts, even senior leadership compounds, and other high-value assets as long as air superiority is maintained. Now, the Hog is in a little more of a vulnerable position just with how slow it is without having stealth. Man pads could actually be used to target it, but there are a lot of countermeasures as well that the A-10 packs. So the A-10 might just be that aircraft that just keeps playing whack-a-mole with these IRGC locations, shredding troops and vehicles, doing devastating strafing runs continuously on these proxies. I don't see that slowing down at all. But they're basically paving the way for that Marine Expeditionary Unit, roughly 2,500 Marines that are said to have arrived already or maybe arriving within the next day, and then the 1,000 plus paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne. Where do you guys think we go from here? What do you think we see in the next few days or weeks as the US puts pressure to open the Straits of Hormuz and not allow the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to have their biggest bargaining chip? I mean, that seems to me what the strategic objectives are right now. But But American A-10 Warthogs delivering classic BRRRRRT, that justice on Iranian-backed PMF bases in Iraq. That aircraft is a classic. It's been doing its thing, even despite all the voices saying we need to take it off of our inventory list. Just showing that the A-10 is even more relevant today than it's ever been. Because again, once you have air superiority at a certain point, you got to focus on what gets the job done. And that seems to be the tried and true, the A-10 Warthog. Let me know what you think in the comments below, where you think this conflict goes from here. Go ahead and follow me on X, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there pretty much every day. And then join the Max Ready Room. Click the link in the description. I'll give you priority responses to the live streams that I'm doing pretty much every day at this point. And then go ahead and watch this next video that pops up right here. It says Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, signing off.